Mark Zona, Bassmaster.com. I pretty much grew up, and young Ronnie Moore, who's behind the camera right now, has been on Zona shoots with me to where I crack a tube. I crack a tube a lot. It's how I actually grew up fishing. Oh my gosh, it's another giant. Great big one with him, great big one. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, look at that bass. Oof, oof, ooh. The one that was with him was a pound bigger. And what's weird is there's a actual art to it. When I let that bait get to the bottom, all I'm doing, if you look at this, number one, I have a Lew's 7'2", hello, tube cracking special that I helped Lew's design. And what I'm trying to do is, when I'm sitting there popping that rod, all I'm doing is popping the slack that's in the line, okay? I'm just popping the slack, and here's the deal. It looks like I'm moving that bait 3 or 4 feet. I'm actually probably moving that bait only 8 to 12 inches, making it look like a crawdad or a goby. The other side of doing this, okay, number one, really long cast. Number two, and this is critical to me, number two, I use straight fluorocarbon line. If I'm throwing a 5/16 or under, I'm gonna use a Seagar 8-pound. If I'm throwing a 3/8 or higher, I'm gonna use a 10-pound, just so I can manhandle them. The other thing is about cracking a tube, a lot of you know this that are smallmouth heads, a lot of smallmouth hit a tube at the end of your cast. I want a little bit of stretch in that line, because if I'm using a tube with braided line to a fluoro leader, man, I tear out of them. They jump, they spit my junk all over. That straight fluorocarbon, whether I'm using a B.A.S.S or Tatsu, it literally lets the bait be less responsive to where that bait's not darting all over, because whenever you use a braid, your bait actually has a lot more action because of zero stretch. But when I'm throwing straight fluorocarbon with this, it literally, number one, it dulls the action of cracking a tube. And not only that, to me, when I'm in a fight with one, I always get scared when I'm throwing braid to a fluoro leader that I'm going to tear out of them. The other thing about cracking a tube, I probably only feel 10 to 20% of bites, okay? Like, all I'll be doing is cracking a tube coming through a little grass or rock, and all of a sudden my rod will start loading, and then I just crack harder. And what happens, like if you're looking at some of this footage right now from shows that I've shot doing it, wow, what I believe happens is a smallmouth clamps on your tube, and when you're sitting there cracking it, it's actually opening his mouth and penetrating that jig head into the roof of his mouth. And the other thing about it too, man, here's the best way to put it. You look at this guy right here. Look at this guy right here, okay? Everybody throws Ned rigs and drop shots and Nikos, and that thing right there to me has stood the test of time for smallmouth, and absolutely to this day is one of the most take a walk with me. Take a walk with me. Come on now. That is what a tube does right there. I mean, come on now, boy. Go on now. Ah, that's brown gold. Mark Zona, Bassmaster.com. Do me a favor. Go crack a tube.